Hey fellow gamers, Chatty Sisa here. As we've seen in the beginning of June, there's a new Bond game coming, 007 First Light. And it's not your typical movie tie-in. It's a fresh origin story from the team behind Hitman, with a younger Bond, a brand new storyline, and a gameplay style that mixes stealth, gadgets, and classic spy action. It all sounds pretty exciting, especially if you've been waiting for a proper Bond game again. But there are some small details in the background that's got some fans raising an eyebrow, and we'll get to that in just a bit. 007 First Light takes us back to the very start of Bond's career. He's 26, freshly recruited by MI6 after a rescue operation as a Royal Navy air crewman where he caught their attention. At this point in time, he's not a 00 agent yet. No license to kill, no vodka martinis. Just a lot to prove. It's a clean break from the movies. The game features an entirely original storyline and isn't tied to any specific actor or timeline. That includes the Daniel Craig era, which IO Interactive has confirmed they're not following. Instead, they're introducing Bond's early world from scratch, bringing in characters like M, Q, Moneypenny, and the new mentor figure called Greenway, who guides him through his first missions. The developers have described this Bond as brash and relatable, which has already stirred debate among fans. Because for many, Bond has always been relatable precisely because he was calm, composed, and effortlessly in control. That smooth, elegant confidence was what made him aspirational, not some overconfident, brash rookie charging into danger. I don't personally mind the idea of exploring a younger Bond. If it's well written, it could work. But I understand why longtime fans, especially those who grew up with Sean Connery or Roger Moore movies, are raising an eyebrow. The further we drift from the gentleman spy persona, the more the whole thing starts to feel like a different character entirely. And let's be honest, whenever studios start throwing around terms like appealing to a younger audience, it usually doesn't mean timeless storytelling, it means trend chasing. We've all seen where that road leads. Take, for example, the movie Star Wars: The Last Jedi. The filmmakers didn't just make small changes to some characters, they were completely deconstructing them, like Luke Skywalker, for example, and not in a good way. Whether IO manages to tell a compelling origin story without losing what makes Bond actually Bond, that remains to be seen. If there's one area where 007 First Light already feels solid, it's the gameplay. IO Interactive built its reputation on the Hitman series, and you can clearly see that Hitman DNA here as well. Just adapted for the world of Bond. This isn't a simple shooter. The game will blend stealth, hand-to-hand combat, gadget use, and cinematic action sequences like, for example, car chases. It's designed to feel like a true spy experience, and not just running and gunning, but planning, improvising, and reacting to the environment. The missions aren't fully open world, but they won't be completely linear either. Instead, the structure sounds more like what IOI did with the mentioned Hitman. Self-contained locations with multiple ways how to approach your objectives. That means you're likely choosing how you complete the missions. Quietly sneaking past guards and disabling systems, or going in loud if things go south. That mix of freedom and structure worked great in Hitman, and it could fit Bond even better if it's executed right. As for the locations, the devs have teased classic globe-trotting settings. Icy mountain bases, lush tropical islands, luxury casinos, exactly the kind of variety you would expect from a Bond story. Each mission is supposed to reflect a different type of spy fantasy, and that variety could give the game the pacing it needs to stay fresh. There's also an emphasis on the gadgets. They will be central to the gameplay. So far, they've already hinted at hacking tools, distraction devices, some vehicle adjustments, and possibly weapon modifications. But given IOI's track record, it's safe to expect a variety of creative options, not just a pair of night vision goggles and a silencer. Let's talk about post-launch content, because this is where things start to feel a bit off. IO Interactive has already confirmed that 007 First Light will get additional story DLCs after release. Not multiplayer, not skins or loot boxes, just more single-player missions coming later. So far, that sounds fine. Games like The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk did something similar and it worked perfectly fine. But what makes this situation more complicated is how IOI plans to deliver that content. If they follow the same pattern as their Hitman games, it won't be one big expansion. It'll likely be small DLC missions dropped in over time, like episodes. And that's where things get annoying, especially for some of these single-player gamers. Because here's the thing. When I play a story-driven game, I want the full experience right from the start. I don't want to come back 6 months later to play one extra mission that adds a side character or teases the next chapter. I want to sit down, play the game and finish it. If it's good, I will replay it differently and come back to it again and again. If it's bad, I will simply move on. But either way, I want the game to feel complete. Instead, studios are now keep trying to turn even single-player games into these weird live service hybrids, where the game just keeps going even when it probably should have ended. And for players who don't have endless free time or don't want to constantly return to the same title, that's frustrating. There are so many other games coming out. Who has time to babysit one game waiting for crumbs of extra content? IOI pulled it off with Hitman, sure, but that was a game built entirely around short missions and replayable challenges. James Bond isn't the same thing. This is a cinematic, story-focused experience. Breaking it into DLC chunks just waters that down. So yes, this part has me seriously concerned. If 007 First Light launches as full experience with optional DLCs later, that's great. But if it feels like they're holding back parts of the story for some stretched out release roadmap, then we've got a problem. The game is running on IO Interactive's Glacier engine, the same tech behind their Hitman trilogy. It's an engine that has its strengths, but also some limits that are worth mentioning. On the positive side, the engine is well optimized. It supports things like ray tracing, high frame rates, DLSS and FSR, which basically means it should run smoothly even on older PCs and last-gen consoles. In terms of performance, lightning, AI behavior and general responsiveness, Glacier is usually doing really well. But when it comes to visuals and environmental detail, it's not exactly cutting edge. Players have pointed out that environments often feel static. There's very little destructible terrain, not much interaction with the objects around you, and the visuals don't feel as dynamic or immersive as something from Unreal Engine 5, for example. And that's where some concerns come in. A Bond game needs to deliver fast-paced cinematic moments. We're talking about car chases or shootouts, rooftop escapes and underwater scenes. This kind of action that's more than just sneaking behind someone and pressing a takedown button. If the engine doesn't support more fluid animation or reactive environments, those scenes might end up looking a bit stiff or too scripted. That said, IOI has used this engine for years and they know how to get the best out of it. But it is definitely something to keep an eye on, especially if they're promising a more intense, action-driven Bond experience. So here's where I stand after going through everything we know so far. 007 First Light has some solid groundwork. IO Interactive knows how to build smart, systems-driven games. The mission variety sounds good and the spy mechanics look promising. Doing an original story outside of the movie timelines gives them more room to work with. But there are a few decisions that leave me skeptical. That wording of appealing to a younger audience, the DLC drip feed model, and the attempt to reinvent Bond's personality could easily push this in the wrong direction. If the writing isn't strong enough or the gameplay gets chopped into episodes, this won't feel like a Bond game. It'll feel like something else, just with a 007 label slapped on it. For now, I'm not hyped, but not overly critical either. I'm just watching and waiting. Let's see in what direction they're moving when we get some more information. I'm curious though, what do you think? Are you interested in this younger Bond approach, or are there warning signs that make you wary? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you like this vid, don't forget to hit that like button or check out my channel and subscribe if you like the content. Thank you. And now this message will self-destruct in 5 seconds. Just kidding. Thanks a lot for watching, stay tuned and game on!